history here of flood damage from Helena, and these ladies live here, or did, and so tell us what happened and tell us about the event.
Well, you want to start?
Yeah, well, we were lucky in the sense that we got a warning shot last year because there was a flood here last year. I wasn't here for it, so you can tell the story better than I could.
Yes, it was a year ago last June. There was a storm that just stalled out over Saluda, and it was in the wee hours of the morning, and we ended up getting 10 inches of rain in 2 hours. So as you can imagine, being here, we're down low, we're on a creek, the water rose and rose very quickly. And so it ended up diverting the creek from going under the tunnel, which we'll show you in a little bit, to where it was coming through the tunnel. The road was actually a raging river, and it was also coming across our yard and into our creek. And our creek was dangerously close to going over the banks. And of course it did just severe damage to our road. It washed out the road over here down to one lane, just like half the road collapsed into the river.
Took the DOT about a month to fix it.
Yes. So that was our warning shot. We thought that was bad enough until...
But it was a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
Because otherwise we wouldn't have evacuated. We wouldn't have known how bad it would get here.
How bad it could possibly be.
And thank God we did. So.
And thankfully we did have a place to evacuate to. We have a little Airbnb in town that we went to, and took our cars. We even took our little camper up there, just thinking, let's, hope for the best but prepare for the worst. And so when coming back down here for the first time and seeing the extent of the damage, I'm so thankful we were not here. Yeah.
Because when we were trying to come down Pearson Falls Road the normal way from town, it was like we were seeing damage in places we'd never seen it before, like landslides in a spot where there had never been landslides before. Mm-hmm. And then we see the first house, and it's like knocked off its foundation. We see in the next house, there's a whole tree in it. And then there's another mudslide, and it's just, you see house after house after house just destroyed or ruined, or the porch is ripped off.
And eventually one that was gone.
Just completely, I mean, you couldn't even see it.
Just because it was taken with a mudslide.
Mudslide just completely buried it and pushed the rest of it into the river. And 3 miles from up there, down there, there's still debris from that house that you can find in the river. So when we first came down the road, we didn't think we had a house to come back to.
What day was that you came to come down?
The first time we tried to come down was
the day
of the storm. After the worst of it had passed, we were just very anxious to see if we still had a home. And so we started down Pearson Falls Road, and we didn't get very far because trees were already in the road. So we just parked and just started walking. And we were clambering over fallen trees, through landslides, and it was exhausting. It was upsetting just to see.
So you decided to try to walk down?
Yeah, we had no other choice. But then we realized we couldn't get any further because the landslides were coming from both sides, and there was no road left. It was just landslides and the water coming through. So we had to turn around. And but Ellie and my husband Scott, they were determined. They were going to see if our house was still here. And thankfully our neighbor Todd, who lives up above us here, had shown us a trail that he has that goes to one of the back streets just outside of Saluda. So Ellie and Scott said, we're going to go hike down. So they drove to the trailhead, hiked in to our neighbor's house, and then down his driveway.
I was praising Jesus real loud when I saw the house and the roofs.
and they saw that the house was still here, but
But I mean, this is
everything else
a lot better than it looked the day of, because I mean, there were just trees down everywhere. I mean, they've kind of organized them into
the road
heaps.
was barely here, and in fact, at the base of the tunnel right up here,
It was just like a crater.
It was a huge crater. There was no road left.
So this slid off here.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the railroad tracks up there.
Yep.
And this is, Sand Cut is up there, which is where the kind of railroad makes a sharp turn and it would give way there. But they built up this land here to go over the creek. So that's why the tunnel's there. So the creek can flow underneath the land that they artificially built up. So
there's a creek over here too, or no?
yes,
On the other side
on the
of
other
this
side of
debris?
this kind of debris, yeah.
Yes.
There's another one. So
when
that's
you got
Joel's
here, all
Creek.
of this trees and stuff was probably all down through here, most likely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it had diverted that creek into our yard.
Because it blocked the normal path of the creek, and so the creek instead flowed right across here. And so
So
it
it was
just
flowing here,
destroyed
and it
everything
was
in our yard,
flowing-
took away the storage building,
Yeah.
wiped out the well,
Because it was coming
Severed our-
through
Where's
the
building
tunnel.
at?
Right
here, right where we're standing.
So this
Yeah.
is your well. That's
Yeah.
what's left of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you had a bridge that came through here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
So
It was made out of old railroad rails underneath supporting it, and then wooden beams across
I mean,
it.
it's the bridge that's always been here, you know, since I've been coming here in the 80s. But yeah, right across here is where our bridge was. So, yeah. Right here.
It's a little bit wider than it used to be.
It's definitely wider.
We
than
didn't have to
be.
span such a distance before, but now it's certainly wider.
So now you can look down. You can
see
a
the
couple of
railroad rail
rails.
there.
So they were like steel girders. There were 4 of them underneath, and yeah, all that's gone.
So when you and your dad got down here, did you make it over to the house?
Yeah, we quickly just checked on the house, saw the house is still here. There was a tree that was down on the house, so we took note of that, but we also were concerned about our neighbors, because I was like, if there's this many mudslides, and there were houses we hadn't seen between where we couldn't get any further and our house here. So we went back up the road to see if some of our neighbors were buried or what. We didn't know it at the time, but we did have one neighbor further downstream that did pass away. But there was, his name is Scott. He's wheelchair bound, and he lived in a house up this way, and we knew that, we had never met him before, but we knew he lived there and that he was disabled. So we booked it to his house, and he was fine, thank goodness. And he had, thankfully, a generator going, so he could still power his, wheelchair and his, all of the things he needed. But he didn't realize how bad it was until we started explaining things. And so eventually we were able to get in touch with his daughters and get him on the evacuation list to leave. But yeah, that was really scary when we just didn't know where neighbors were, if they were alive, because the Green River Cove definitely got hit hard, but I don't think people realize how hard this area got hit too. And we're a much smaller community. It's just like Melrose Valley, Pearson Falls Road, and it's really small, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the rock over here has never been exposed like that. You can see where the water came through and cut that bank there, and this upper part here. I mean, you would always see the vertical side of it, but it went up and over. It cleared all of that vegetation.
Do you want to come across?
You want to go into the house?
Sure. if you want to, but my balance isn't nearly as good as Ellie's. So this is where I go down. I just kind of have to side scramble. Whoa.
I mean, this is what the creek is like most of the year. It's very calm and
very tranquil, very peaceful.
Peaceful and just homey. I mean, it's kind of weird because you look out across this way and it's completely unrecognizable, but if you look at this side of the creek, it's almost like nothing happened. It is almost like it.
But the water did get high enough. You can see where, you know, the grass is laying flat and some of this is laying flat. It did, thankfully we had that sandbag. We didn't think about it getting high enough to go over here too, but it did go around the back side of the house as well, and it even washed some gravel out from underneath our hot tub.
And that back here is where the tree came down. But we got it off the house.
And you can see where where the storage building ended up.
Yeah. So my brother was home from college. We got the tree off the roof and got his stuff out of the house, and yeah, because we just took all our valuables out of the house, and
yeah. Yeah. For us, it's still going to be a while before we can return home reasonably.
So the chair sitting down here, why's that there?
we were pulling stuff out of the storage shed just because it's not, I mean, there's a hole in the roof and it's all, I mean, everything was thrown everywhere, but we just pulled it out and we were joking that we have a
new beach, so we
have
pulled
a
our
beach because
chair
none of
out
the sand was here before.
put it there.
So we just said, well, got beachfront property now.
Yeah.
At least you was able to laugh about that.
Yeah, we're trying to have a sense of humor.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you gonna laugh or you gonna cry? So you may as well laugh.
Well, we're just so thankful we still have a house that we'll be able to come back to.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't so lucky, so
Yeah.
we're counting our blessings.
So you see all the big rock over here. All of that was rock they put to rebuild this section of road last summer when we had the big flood. And that did its job.
Where they had repaired the road, it held. So I'm hoping that.
Except for at the end of the tunnel.
Well, yeah.
That's the only place that it
the
really
spot
didn't.
where they put in the concrete held. But the thing is, the hole was relatively speaking so small from the flood last year.
Mm-hmm.
That spot was fine. And then, but everything around it washed out.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit of history about the house. What year was it built?
So the original part of the house is over 100 years old. So this house has seen a lot over time. And it was just originally an old hunting cabin. It was just like a 1-bedroom with a galley kitchen, little bathroom, and a loft. And as it's had different owners over the years, people have added on to it. And my husband's family purchased it back in the 80s. And so, you know, I've been coming here since like 1987. You know, it's just always been a wonderful place for family gatherings, getting away with friends, having, you know, just so many wonderful memories. My husband and I even had like our wedding reception here, you know.
Your first dog is buried here.
Yeah, yeah. This place has always been special. It's been like my little corner of heaven. And now it's a place that doesn't feel safe anymore. Especially after seeing this.
I see some lumber right over here that's new. What's this one? See this 6x6 post?
Yeah, that was what we put underneath the bridge just to kind of give it some extra support for when there was like heavier equipment going across it. But yeah, that got wiped out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And the earth used to extend out, and the rock used to extend out to about where the water flows. So all this is completely newly cleared. And this swimming hole used to only be about that big, but now
Yes.
it's huge.
Quadruple the size.
And this wall here was built, I didn't know this until my grandpa told me, but the Civilian Conservation Corps built that wall in the 30s to stop this creek from flowing in that direction and washing out the road, because it had done that several times. And so at this time, this was the like state road through the area. It was what connected Tryon to Saluda to Flat Rock all the way up to Hendersonville. So it was like the road. I have some old historical pictures I can dig up, but it used to extend out to here, but even that, this whole section here collapsed in this flood.
It looks like that wall probably went on down. It maybe took some wall out right here.
Yeah, up to that tree there, you see.
Yeah.
It was all the way out there,
that
but
whole
the whole
section
section
has
gave
given
way.
away.
And you can see our iron gate that's been here as long as you can
Forever.
remember.
Yeah, it's always been here.
It's down there in the water. And our water line used to run across the creek here, but that also got severed.
So you had city water coming in?
No, it's our well. Our well was
the
over
water
there,
from the
and
well,
it just
okay.
it went across the yard
It's
here,
an
and
underground
then
pipe that came across, and then had
came
to
across there.
cross over the creek into the bank here at the corner of the house. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nice swimming hole. I'll take it.
It's an Olympic-sized swimming hole now.
Yeah.
But it's just so strange how the cabin side is just relatively untouched. I mean, all the chairs were in place. We've moved stuff around since because we've just been pulling things out of the storage building and trying to dry things out because it had water damage, and we were trying to save what we could. Also took things in the house because we wanted to protect things also, in case if we happen to have looters come by.
So you said you seem like, I forget the exact word, but you said something about this used to be your safe place, but now
Yeah.
you have fear of the flood again.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 2 years in a row.
This has been 2 years in a row that we've had a major flood event down here. Of course, this one is by far worse than the one we had last year, but you know, you would think with a creek being this far down in a ravine here, you would be okay, but you're not. You're not. And yeah.
So you come down with your dad and you saw this. How did you feel? What was your emotional feelings of seeing everything?
I mean, I think weirdly, it was when I saw the azalea bushes over there that really just broke me, because those were from my great grandmother, and they're kind of like the only way I've been able to kind of connect with her, and because I never met her, but it just felt like it was one of those things that tied me back further than I've been able to know, and now they're just kind of crushed. I don't know. This is we lived in Asheville and I loved living in Asheville, but this place has felt more home than any place we've ever lived, and it's scary to.
It's always been a happy place for us, but this really
It's just.
changes everything. You know, where you feel like living in the mountains, you're safe, you know, and as we have found out with Helene, no one's safe.
Yeah, I mean, I remember
one's safe.
Katrina, and as a kid, I mean, I was little. I was really little, but I remember we were sending toys to the kids that had survived Katrina, and I remember that we were told that our mountains kept us safe from hurricanes. But that was what people experienced on the coast.
And a number of people came to our mountains to escape Katrina.
I mean, there's a
moved
woman
here.
in the Green River Cove who moved here after Katrina. There were people that lived in our neighborhood in Montford and Asheville that moved there
A lot of
after
Asheville
Katrina.
people came from New Orleans after Katrina,
And
thinking they were safe here.
now this, so
Yeah.
it's just,
Well, I hate to think it, but it's true that, you know, this is the new normal. And, you know, living in places, living near bodies of water like this, it's not safe. It's not safe.
So how do you pronounce your name? Stefan?
Stefan.
Stefan.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Never asked you your name. We've been talking for days.
That's how it usually is, man.
I can't remember them
I
anyway,
can't
unless I write them
remember.
down.
We've met so many people, it's really hard for me to remember.
Jack that up, probably 4.5 feet, we should be all right. Okay.
Tell us your name.
I'm Ariana Wood, and I run on this trail a lot, or this road. And then there's a trail up there that I love. And the one thing that I worry about, like the aftermath as far as nature, is the sediment here. Because as the sediment runs into the stream, the oxygen content decreases and the water tends to raise in temperature. So all the landslides up and down this road have a ton of exposed soil where the trees are gone and they're not going to be held in place, and those areas can be a hotbed for lots of invasive species because they really enjoy disturbed soil. So I'm really curious about what we can do to help the natives come back and also secure some of this land so there's not really bad flooding and sediment accidents like this.
Yes. So where do you get your information? How are you coming up with this?
Well, right now I'm like interning for Erica, who's the Green River Keeper, and she's super busy down here in the Green River. And then I also, just through school and through some research done with Dr. Tuberty at App State during the Summer Ventures summer camp that North Carolina sets for any sophomores.
All right. Well, thank you. All right, guys. Does it look better?
Much better.
Much
This
better.
is going to give us a lot better access, and we were really fearful of what was going to happen in the next rain.
Yeah.
And that berm that he put up is probably going to prevent the next
Hopefully
flood
this
from
is
taking
gonna
us
save
out.
us
So
from future water coming into our yard and wiping away.
really, really appreciate and generous for him to be able to be here. What he can do in a couple hours is amazing compared to what we could ever do with 1,000 shovels.
Right. So what was the cost of this for y'all today?
Well, he's very kind. He's saying we can't pay him, but we've got to find some way to
We
reward
have to
him.
find a way
Yeah,
to.
because he's been very generous.
compensate for this.
Yeah, he's out there taking care of so many people who
Yeah.
really appreciate his generosity.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let him know, and I appreciate you all for letting us document it, and we'll let people. This lets people see what Jake's doing out there. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
we're better together, and with people like Jake out there hustling. I mean, this is something that's just devastating to so many. We're luckier than most.
We're fortunate compared to so many people.
Hmm.
At least we still have a home,
Yes,
whereas some people do not. And
and we're glad that now with Jake's help, we have access again to our house.
yes.
But
So now we'll be able to move home again.
yes,
Well, that's what we're trying to show, the good things that's happening. You know, people helping the people, and people stepping up and being a part of recovery and all that. So, well, guys, I'm gonna let you get back to your volunteers. You got quite a few volunteers.
yeah, we got a
Yes,
lot
we
of good
do.
Saluda folks.
Yeah.
and even some folks
Some
from
good
Asheville.
strong backs.
I saw some even come in on bicycles with rode bicycles in with a chainsaw on his back.
That's what you gotta do nowadays. That's all
Yeah,
you do what you can.
So I'm sure you appreciate them showing up today.
Oh,
Absolutely.
So one thing in closing here, and we filmed the building. I didn't realize your storage shed had been up here.
Yeah, Noah's Ark sailed over that cliff, and we are now standing in 4 feet of water. All that was, 30 feet deep, and it just sailed like an ark and went to the end of the property and spun around. So we're going to try to help
Landed.
it recover.
Yeah.
I mean, we already pulled out all the stuff wet and soggy, but
But
Yeah.
it'll stay there now.
yeah, we ain't bringing it
You
back.
set it down there.
Well, all right, guys, we're gonna get to the next project. Thank you all.
Thank
Bye bye.
you. Thank you.